Hello and welcome. Today, we are diving into some of the most powerful ideas that have ever existed, the beliefs that have shaped entire civilizations and guided billions of people for thousands of years. We're going on a quick tour of the world's great religions, not just to look at what people believe, but to try and understand the deep human questions they're all trying to answer. You know, it really all boils down to one fundamental question. In a world that can feel pretty chaotic and confusing, how do we find our purpose? How do we build community and make sense of it all? Well, the answers people have come up with are as diverse and fascinating as humanity itself. I like to think of it as this huge global tapestry, woven together with countless threads of faith and philosophy. So for the next few minutes, we're going to pull on some of the biggest, most influential threads in that design, starting with one that actually connects three of the world's largest religions. So first up, we're looking at what you could call a family of religions. They all trace their spiritual roots back to one person, Abraham. And even though they ended up on different paths, they're all built on one single revolutionary idea. And that idea is monotheism, the belief that there isn't a whole pantheon of gods, but just one single, all-powerful creator. I mean, this was a total game changer for humanity's relationship with the divine, and it became the bedrock for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. You can really see their shared story play out over time. Judaism is the oldest, kicking things off with that first covenant. Then, hundreds of years later, Christianity emerges right from within that Jewish tradition, but it's centered on the figure of Jesus. And then, in the 7th century, Islam arrives, understood as the final and complete message from that very same God. For Judaism, the heart of the faith is that covenant, this sacred agreement between God and the Jewish people. It's a relationship guided by the laws in their holy texts, the Torah and the Talmud, which really emphasize living a just and ethical life. Now, building on these foundations, Christianity grew to become the world's largest religion. We're talking more than 2 billion followers. Just let that number sink in. That's nearly a third of all people on Earth. The scale is just staggering. So for Christians, everything revolves around Jesus Christ, who they believe is the Son of God. This belief is tied to a really unique concept called the Trinity, the idea that one God exists as 3 distinct persons. And the path to salvation isn't about earning your way in, but it's seen as a gift of grace that you receive through faith. All of these core ideas are laid out in their holy book, the Bible. And then there's Islam, a word that means submission to God. It provides a really clear and practical framework for life through what's known as the 5 pillars. These are the fundamental practices that guide a Muslim's everyday life, from prayer to charity. Okay, so now let's shift our journey eastward to the Indian subcontinent, where a totally different set of ideas took root. All right, we're heading now to the Indian subcontinent, which is the cradle of what are called the Dharmic traditions. These faiths are all connected by a shared philosophy, but their approaches to it are incredibly diverse. At the very heart of all these traditions is this concept of dharma. It's a huge, complex word, but you can kind of think of it as the cosmic law, your personal duty, and the right way to live that keeps the whole universe in balance. It's a really big deal. Hinduism is a perfect example of these ideas in action. It's one of the oldest religions on the planet, and it's not really a single thing. It's more like a huge family of traditions. But central to the Hindu worldview are these key concepts. Karma, the law of cause and effect. Samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. And the ultimate goal, which is moksha, breaking free from that cycle entirely. Now, Buddhism grew out of the same environment, and it offers a path that's laser-focused on the human condition. The Buddha's core teaching, the 4 Noble Truths, is just brilliant. It's almost like a doctor's diagnosis. First, the symptom. Suffering is a part of life. Second, the cause. We suffer because we're attached to things. Third, the prognosis. There's good news. The suffering can end. And finally, the prescription. Here's how you do it, the 8-fold path. And then you have Jainism, which takes the principle of nonviolence or ahimsa and elevates it to the absolute core of its philosophy. And this isn't just about being peaceful. It is a profound, active respect for every single living being, no matter how small. It's a radical commitment. When you put them side by side like this, you can see the fascinating differences. They're all trying to achieve liberation from that cycle of rebirth, but their methods are unique. Hinduism has many deities and follows the path of Dharma. Buddhism is generally non-theistic and offers a middle path to nirvana. And Jainism, also without a creator god, seeks that same liberation through the absolute practice of nonviolence.
Also born in this region is Sikhism, which offers a really unique monotheistic path. It was founded by Guru Nanak, and it was built on values that were truly revolutionary for its time and place, especially the idea that all people are equal, regardless of caste or gender, and the importance of selfless service.
Okay, let's shift our focus one more time, heading now to East Asia. Here we find traditions where the line between religion and philosophy often gets beautifully blurred, and they're all deeply concerned with one thing: finding harmony. In China, you see these two major currents of thought. Taoism is all about finding harmony with the Tao, the natural, flowing way of the universe. The key is Wu Wei, or effortless action, basically getting out of your own way and letting things flow. Then you have Confucianism, which is focused on social harmony. How do we build a good, ethical society through things like benevolence and proper rituals?
Over in Japan, we find Shinto, the country's indigenous spirituality. It's this ancient path that's centered on reverence for the kami. These are divine spirits that are believed to inhabit the natural world. They could be in a majestic mountain, a waterfall, an ancient tree, or even in the spirits of one's ancestors. The whole focus is on purity and living in harmony with this sacred world. So here's the thing. We've just looked at some of the biggest threads in the tapestry of belief, but it is so much vaster than that. So for our final section, let's just take a quick peek at the incredible diversity that's out there. And this is really just a glimpse. I mean, you have faiths like Zoroastrianism from ancient Persia, one of the oldest monotheistic religions in the world, or the Baha'i faith, which is much more recent and actually teaches that all religions are part of one single truth. And of course, there are countless indigenous traditions, each one deeply connected to a specific piece of land and its spirits. And this brings up a really cool idea called syncretism, which is just a fancy word for the blending of beliefs. It happens all the time. Chinese folk religion, for instance, weaves together ancestor worship, Taoism, Buddhism, a whole mix of things. Or look at Cao Daism from Vietnam. It intentionally combines teachings from the world's major religions. They actually revere figures like Jesus and Buddha, alongside historical figures like Victor Hugo. When you step back and look at all of it, this incredible diversity, what you're really seeing is a universal, relentless human drive. It's our drive to understand where we fit in the cosmos, to connect with something bigger than ourselves, and to figure out how to live a good, meaningful life. Which brings us right back to that tapestry. Despite all the different patterns, all the different colors, you start to see that they're all woven from the same human threads. That search for truth, that need for community, and that hope for a better world. And that, I think, is a powerful reminder that this search for meaning is one of the most fundamental things we all share.